Welcome back, everybody, to another edition of Kicking It with Cal. I am your host, Cal Deneke, and we have a special guest today, Mr. Travis Williams. And Travis, how you doing today, man?
Doing fantastic, buddy. I appreciate you having me on.
This has been a long time coming. So we're going to get down to a lot of things today, but I want to share a quick story about how you and I met. So about exactly 3 years ago, we both showed up in St. Petersburg, Florida, to a new teacher meeting at our middle school that you and I both started teaching at, and we kind of gravitated towards each other and said, hey, we're both new to the area, and from then on we became good friends, became roommates, and it's crazy to think it's been 3 years. So I kind of want to just walk through the situation of how you got to St. Pete, because I know you're a Virginia kid.
Yes,
and if you want to shout out Two Up, Two Down, how did you get here? What was your journey to Florida?
Yeah, I mean, born and raised in Virginia, like you said, and my best friend moved down here, and I visited him for a few times, and I loved it down here. I've been a beach guy all my life, so I came down and I was like, wow, this place is awesome. And that 2020 year, the COVID year, as I'm finishing up college, I'm doing student teaching, I'm applying for jobs. All of a sudden, I kind of got the idea to maybe not stay in Virginia and go to a different state, and then it just so happened the school that I'm still at sent me an interview request, and it just all fell into place, and it's been great ever since. It's probably I think the best decision I made in my life, and it's just been great. So
that's awesome. So
yeah.
Was your buddy recruiting you down to live here, or what was that situation like when you were coming down to visit him before you decided to move?
He honestly wasn't. I just came down and we just hung out. I thought, he's living in Florida, he's at the beach, why not for vacation come down and see him? And it was never like, you have to move down here, and you should be looking for jobs down here. It really just fell into place as I was searching for jobs that it happened to be in the same county as him, and it was just meant to be. So he didn't really recruit me, but it all worked out though.
Yeah, that's similar to me with my brother living down in Florida, and he wasn't recruiting me either, but something about that nice weather, that sunshine, and just something in the air. So that's awesome. It's a similar story to I think a lot of people we've met down here who have been transplants from around the country, and we've all kind of made our little home down here. So it's been cool. Yeah. So I wanted to ask next, what culturally down here in West Central Florida stood out to you the most, difference-wise, in coming from Virginia, and what were some of the things that hit most? Like, okay, this is a little different from what I'm used to.
The first thing that comes to mind is just teaching in that first year, and these kids I teach out of middle school, and these 12, 13-year-olds, just strong, athletic. I just didn't know what was in the water down here. They look like adults almost. They're just so athletic, and not that we didn't have athletes in Virginia, but that was one of the first things I noticed. We had a 13 or 14-year-old that was 6'5", dunking in middle school.
I remember.
Yeah, so that was wild. And then I did live in downtown St. Pete the first year, which was really different from me being from the outskirts of the town. I was in the rural area of Virginia, so being in the downtown city was really fun that first year, and it was just a great experience. So,
what about weather-wise? People always talk about Florida being a warmer state, sunny state, but now being here 3 years and getting to experience what some would call the Floridians might call a harsh winter. We look at it as pretty mild, but in terms of just weather and in that nature, what have you liked? What have you disliked?
Obviously it's hot. It's late July right now, almost early August, and it's scorching out there. So I don't really complain though, because I don't miss the winters at all. I hated the winters. And like you were saying, our winters down here, it's not much. It's not that bad. So it's really only I'd say a month out of the year where it gets semi-cold. It's amazing. Being able to wear shorts for 9-10 months out of the year, it's just, I love it, man. So it's just, weather-wise, it's fantastic down here.
Yeah, shorts and a tee are just the wardrobe I go shopping, and it's I I can't even look at sweatshirts and crew necks and that kind of stuff. So, yeah, I completely agree with you there. But I do have some friends who are like, I can't do that. Like, it's too muggy. It's too humid. Like, I got up to go to the gym early this morning, and you step outside and you're sweating already, and it's, I don't know. I like that feeling, and I think you might be on the same boat as me.
Yeah, I mean, I personally like it. I don't really complain too much, but I can see how other people, it's too much for them. Like, I mean, it's hot. Like, and if you're a person that likes the seasons, then this ain't the state for you. You need to be more up north. So
yeah. And you alluded to it a little bit with your first year teaching, but I kind of wanted to dive into that because you're in a unique situation where your first ever year of teaching in the real world was that COVID year in the 2020-2021 school year. So you hadn't known anything before that, whereas I had 3 years of teaching experience doing the regular pre-COVID thing before my world got flipped upside down. So in any way you want to take this, what was that first year like for you? Kind of talk about what were the classes like? Was it hybrid? Was it in person? And what was that whirlwind like? Because for teachers across America, I know everyone had a different experience.
It was so wild, man. So pretty much half our school was staying home. You know, they were online. And so I only had 3 out of the potential 6 classes that I should have had. So I only had half the classes. And
easy.
Yeah. And if I haven't mentioned before, I am a PE teacher. So doing online PE, as you can imagine, I mean, it's just, there's only so much you can do, like, you know, telling the kids to do jumping jacks, doing at-home workouts and stuff. So it was really different. I mean, it got to the point with the online classes that I would just talk to the kids and just be an older adult, someone they could talk to during the day and just have a conversation with them. Like, we do our at-home workouts every day, but, you know, it would get kind of old. But, yeah, the COVID with the germs and everything, like, we had kids bringing in gloves, like, from their parents, like the cooking gloves, and putting them on their hands, and like.
Didn't you hand them out too, or was it just them?
Yeah, I hand them out as well. The school gave it to us. At first, we weren't supposed to play with equipment at all, and like, you know, being a PE teacher, like I was like, how are we gonna do this, man? This is gonna be boring. Like, eventually, they let us I think the second quarter of the year, so we went 9 weeks without equipment. But then we were trying gloves, like, they would take them off each time, throw them in the trash. I mean, it was just a unique experience. And, yeah.
I can kind of see, like, people at home maybe listening thinking, if you're doing virtual at-home learning in PE, are they thinking, like, are you seeing them on their Zoom cameras doing jumping jacks with you? Are their cameras off? Are they... Like, what did that look like? I know it probably was different here and there, but what would it be like for someone who has no idea what that would look like?
Yeah, I mean, well, that's another thing is a lot of kids never turn their cameras on. Like, it wasn't mandatory. Like, you couldn't force a student to turn their camera on. So, I mean, I'm looking at a blank screen, like, most of the time, like, talking to the kids. They could be taking a nap. They could be doing who knows what. You know what I mean? Watching Netflix or something. So, a couple of them would, like, turn their camera on, and they would, I could see them doing the workouts and everything, but then other ones you would just have to take their word for it. Like, oh, I did it, coach. Like, well, you say you did, but I don't have any proof, but I'll take your word for it, I guess.
I could just see kids eating Cheetos, playing video games. Yeah, Coach Williams just did 20 jumping jacks, and you're like, all right, I mean, write it down in your journal. Yeah, I mean, I was teaching math that year, and surprisingly, one of my biggest takeaways is that I felt like I got closer personally with one of my virtual classes than I did any of my in-person, and you'd think, like, how could that be? But it was like I could be so much more myself and tell jokes and, you know, just be funny and, you know, kind of let my guard down a little bit. Mm-hmm. And I really enjoyed that. And I don't know, it was kind of a strange thing, but, like, you know, just the inside jokes with the class through the computer was like a weird dynamic, but we made it work. So. Yeah. Now you are 3 years into teaching, so we felt like we just got here, but now you're 3 years in. So you feel like a baby still, or you feel like more of a veteran? I know you've seen teachers come and go, but you know now you're starting your 4th year. How does it feel in terms of, you know, where you're at now?
I still get, you know, I'm still nervous. Like, we're starting back in a few days, and like I just get the jitters and stuff. But I still feel like kind of like a rookie going in, to be honest. But at my particular school, there's so much turnover with the teachers and everything going to different schools that I really am a veteran going into year 4 at my school. So, yeah, like I was saying, though, I'm still getting the jitters kind of. I'm anxious to go back. I'm excited. I'm excited to see the kids and faculty that I've been with for a few years, and then we got a lot of new faculty coming in. So,
yeah, because we're recording this on the last day of July, so we're reporting back to our respective schools here in a few days, and those jitters always come back. I'll be doing my 7th year this year, and it's like, oh God, like, are the kids, everyone has that. I feel like everyone, from every student to every teacher, administrator, like, it's just, it's that back to school feeling. So,
right.
I mean, I feel like we all get that. So, you also alluded to the fact that you're a coach. I know a lot of PE teachers coach, not all do, but you definitely have. And what made you want to be a coach? Where did this all start?
Well, I mean, I grew up playing sports. I played sports my whole life, and it got to the point when I was choosing a profession like that. I knew I wanted to do something with kids. I just loved working with them and, turning them into mature adults. And through sports, I thought that was the best pathway, and I enjoy it. I love it. I honestly think that's what I was, put on this earth to do. I really do love coaching. Sometimes I get too competitive. Like,
oh, I know.
Yeah, I mean, I'm the most competitive guy in the room, I think, when I walk in. So, but yeah, just I think it was just meant to be. Like I said, I grew up playing sports, and it was just that natural transition, and coming out of college. Like you said, majority of PE teachers at their schools are going to be coaching, and I got into it right away, and it's something that I want to be doing for a while.
What'd you play? What was your thing?
I played basketball, baseball, and football growing up. Football ended up being too small. I had to cut it out. I didn't want to get hurt, man. And then
went to soccer immediately.
And then baseball was actually my first love, and I stopped playing my freshman year of high school to just focus on basketball. So played basketball throughout my high school career, and yeah.
And was there a particular coach that kind of inspired you and made you want to become one? If you look back, you had some when you were little, middle school, high school. Anyone in particular that kind of drove you, or you found some inspiration?
Yeah, from? I think it was my final coach in my last 2 years at my high school. He just, I came from a school where the coach didn't really, I guess, respect me that much, and he didn't think I could help the program. And I came in, and on the first day of my new school, he just believed in me, really. He just gave me a chance, and, I still have a relationship with him to this day. I still keep in touch with him, and I really appreciate everything he did for me. So, yeah, he probably helped me, become a better coach today. Mm-hmm. So,
and I had the opportunity to meet him
almost
a year ago, and that was really cool because, Travis and I have been friends for 3 years now, and to go back in someone's life and kind of pick the brain of someone's high school basketball coach, I asked him a few things about what he was like as a player, and he gave me all the details about how hardworking Trav was. Started the breakfast club. We're going in the morning before practices, 6 a.m.?
Yeah, 6 to 7.
6 a.m.?
Yeah.
That's hard work, especially for a 16, 17-year-old kid that wants to put in the work that early. So I know you're inspiring your athletes to get in the gym and to work outside of it. So I did want to just have you share a story about what's been one of your proudest moments coaching so far in the 3 years that you've done it.
Yeah, so I've coached volleyball, which I never played growing up. So, but it's actually one of my probably favorite sports to coach. I've been coaching basketball as well, and I did track for a few years, and might get into flag football, but
boys and girls, correct?
Yeah. So, but it just so happens volleyball out of all things, and that first year, I was picked to coach the boys, and I didn't really want. I'd rather do the girls because I just feel like they're more into volleyball.
I remember you were bummed.
At that age, and I was bummed, because I'd rather coach the girls, but. And then tryouts come along, and we didn't really have any kids show up, any boys. And
what are we talking, single digits?
In all honesty, that first day was probably five kids, and
you need 6 to play.
Right, you got 6 on the floor, and in my mind, I was just like, I know it's kind of messed up to say, but I was like, you know what? If we don't have a team, that's fine. I'll just help out the girls. I'll be an assistant. Like, I don't need to coach the boy. Like, and it just so happened we had a really talented kid, and he plays outside of school and stuff, and he came in and he was just excited to play, and he recruited his friends. Like, I really didn't do any recruiting. I wish I would have, looking back, but some kids just played just because they had nothing better to do. Some just wanted to, get the girls, hang out with them, flirt with them, and whatnot at practice.
Middle school for
yeah.
you.
So, but eventually, our team was just fantastic, man. This is my first year doing it, and we didn't lose a game. We kept winning 4-0, 5-0, and I'm like, wait a minute, like maybe we could like win this thing. And we had a great year. We went 9-1, and we went to the Final Four. We actually hosted a playoff game at our school, and they came in from the North Cal up in Clearwater, and they dominated us that first set. Mm-hmm. And I went out there, and I yelled at kids like I've never yelled before. One of the kids' parents was the flag person, and as soon as I got out there, I'm screaming at him to get them, to motivate them. And she's looking at me like, "Oh my gosh!" I'm like, "Look, I got to say this stuff right now. Like, you need to take a walk because I need to motivate these kids." And man, they turned it around though. Like, I think they were jittery, they were nervous at first. They ended up winning that second set, and we forced the third game, and we lost a close third game. And it was just, some of them were crying in the locker room. It was just a heck of a season, and I still talk to some of them boys, so it really was incredible to be a part of that.
I remember being there and pulling for you guys and cheering, and when you said earlier, like, you're the most competitive person in the room, like, you ain't lying. Like,
yeah.
I once watched Coach Williams try to pump up the entire crowd in the middle of a game. I don't remember if it was volleyball or basketball or what, but I always tell him that story, and he's just like, the juices were flowing, and it,
Heat of the moment. Yeah, heat of the moment.
So those are some awesome things that you shared, but we also know that there's things that are challenging when it comes to coaching.
Yeah.
And what have been some challenges you faced, or you think just in coaching in general could be challenging?
Yeah. Sometimes with, the middle school kids, they may not have a ride and stuff, transportation, things like that. And, really with basketball and volleyball, I haven't really had, I've had an assistant, but no one that's like worked at the school and like game planned with me. So I've kind of been on my own, which I do enjoy, but it would be nice to, just have that extra help, and, but like I was saying with the kids, every now and then, maybe they just don't show up to practice. Maybe they're not motivated. Maybe, and that's an issue because, if you're not showing up, you don't really have the right to play,
Mm-hmm.
So that's not right for the other kids that are showing up to practice. But, just things like that.
I feel like there's little things that parents or just people in general just don't understand. Like you're waiting maybe 30 extra minutes every day for rides. You don't have kids at practice, so you can't go over the plays because your starters aren't in.
Right.
And, grades. And there's just, in an ideal world, that stuff wouldn't happen, but that's just the nature of coaching. And we just find ways to get around it and make with what we have.
Yeah.
So I wanted to switch gears a little bit and talk a little bit about having the summer off as a teacher. We hear people say all the time, you're so lucky, you're a teacher, you got the whole 2 months off. It's like, yeah, we do, but we also don't make what you make.
True.
So, there's pros and cons to everything. So, I just wanted to get a little bit more personal and let me know, how has your last 2 months been? We have 2 months off. Some teachers get here and there, maybe a week or two more, but 2 solid months off. Yeah. So what do you like to do to recharge, and how do you like to spend your time in June and July?
Yeah, I can't complain at all with 2 months. That's amazing. And I don't know about other teachers, but when May comes around, I'm crawling to the finish line. I really am. Like, I'm exhausted and just mentally just fatigued. And I feel like teachers earn their summers though. I feel like we deserve that. And it's just been nice to get right mentally and just to be able to read and not set an alarm clock and just journal, go outside, exercise whenever you want, not be on any particular timetable and any schedule. So I've really been relaxing, went to the beach a number of times and been going to the gym and just having a great time. And I feel like going into this year, I'm in a great place because of those 2 months.
Yeah. Yeah. You and I get along very well, but we are very different in the way we like to spend our weekends, our summers, and you know, I just 2 days after we got out of school, I was off on a flight to Australia and bouncing around the country and doing that. But it's everyone's preference, and it's kind of interesting, like going back to these trainings and you know, first teacher stuff before the kids get there, and everyone says, you know, how's your summer been? How's your summer been? And you know, you get a whole wide range of answers. So I wish everyone the best because you know these years coming out of the pandemic have been tough on teachers, but you know we're starting to get very normal, I would say. So, with all that, and I forgot to hit on this earlier, so I wanted to have you just share a story of a proud moment, a fun moment in the classroom for you personally over the first few years of, you know, like what's something that's going to stick with you forever about, you know, something that's happened with your students?
I think the coolest moment I've had in 3 years, you know, as you know and as everyone knows, like not everyone likes PE. Like, you know, you may not be an athlete, you may like other stuff. So my favorite moment was, you know, I had a particular class that was my best all year, and we were going up against the coworkers. So I teach 6th grade, and we're going up against the 7th graders in a kickball series. So we're playing best 4 out of 7, and we play on Monday, we crush them. We play on Tuesday, we crush them.
Dub.
And the 7th graders started to get mad, like, what is going on? Like, how are these 6th graders beating us? And we win again. It was 3-0, and they're getting even more mad. And
about to get the brooms out.
Yeah, for real though. And I'm just talking to my class, like, all right, guys, like, I know they're gonna come out. They're gonna be ready to play this time. Like, let's win this one too. Let's just finish it off. And I was like, what can we do? Like, what are some strategies we can do to beat the 7th graders? And even kids that like haven't even talked all year or like participated are like, I know what we can do. They're coming up to the board. They're drawing on the board. Like, we should have someone be here. We should do all this. And they're literally strategizing. And like, I had to tell the class to like sit back down. Like, hold on, one at a time. We can, you know, you can come up to the board. But they were all just like so excited. Like, and I think they knew they were in the 7th graders' heads. Like, we as 6th graders are just beating them. Even just something as simple as kickball, man. Like, they were having a blast with it, and we ended up beating them again. And the 7th graders were just so mad, dude. And like, I was just so proud of my class, like, just for just getting into it and having fun and like focusing and just coming together, you know. And it was just so much fun, and just it really made me proud, like, of them. So
yeah, that's that rewarding stuff that you just can't explain.
Yeah.
If you, like you said, you see kids who haven't talked all year, haven't been engaged, and now they're drawing up on the whiteboard how to strategize to beat the 7th graders in kickball. Like, that's the coolest thing ever.
Yeah.
And like we get those little moments as teachers and coaches where you see the light bulb go off with kids, and it's just a really cool moment. So I'll share one with you. It came to my mind a few weeks ago when I was back in Illinois, but I had a student in my 2nd year of teaching, and I'll never forget her. And she would go up to this particular boy every day, who this boy wasn't the most popular. He maybe got made fun of sometimes and just, you know, didn't have a lot of friends. And she would make it a point every single day to ask how he was doing and make sure that he felt important and special. And no one ever said anything. I just kind of internalized it and just realized, like, this is really special for a 13-year-old girl to go out of her way to make someone feel important. And it was just something that, you know, I told her mom, like, this is incredible, like, you've got a gift. And then a couple weeks ago I was back in Illinois, and I happened to run into her coincidentally at a basketball game, and you know, we're just catching up. She's about to be a senior, and I'm asking how her high school career's been, and I said, hey, like, what do you plan on doing in college? And she said, well, I'd like to be a special education teacher.
Oh, wow.
And when I heard that, I was like, wow, this, you know, doesn't surprise me at all. As a 13-year-old, I saw that you cared for people and that you really want to make a difference. And so to hear that from a teacher's perspective, that you want to get an education and teach, and especially with special education, that was like a light bulb moment for sure. So I'd say that's probably been my favorite memory of what I've been doing for 6 years. So
that's amazing. And you know, it takes, you know, special people to go into that profession, and I just got nothing but respect for them. But for that girl, you know, we need those type of kids. Like, you know, you just love those kids that just respect everybody and, you know, try to make kids' days. And, you know, there may be kids that, like, don't have many friends or, you know, may be different from the group, but they still go out of their way to say hey to them or whatever, and it's just awesome to see that from some kids.
Yeah, and we were talking about the summertime earlier, and you and I were able to travel a little bit ago, a couple weeks ago, to the Outer Banks, and I know anyone watching this who's into the show Outer Banks, John B., Sarah, Key, shout out. We got to tour the island a little bit, and we had a great time. And I know you're not a huge fan of heights, but we took a little plane ride up in the OBX plane. So tell me a little bit about what that was like, especially for you growing up going to OBX your whole life. That probably hit different.
Yeah, I mean, that was really fun. When you said I'd take that plane ride. I'd go around and see the city of Outer Banks, Kill Devil Hills, and Nags Head and all that. And I was like, all right, let's do it. You know what I mean? And it wasn't until we drive up to the place and see how small that plane is. It's like, ooh, man, I was nervous. And four-seater little mini airplane, and we're flying over the ocean and whatnot. And it was really cool though to see the city that I've been vacationing in for really all my life, and it was such a great experience. But that little plane, man, I just
the wings just started flapping. I got a little nervous.
Yeah, the turbulence was kind of rough too, but I wouldn't change that for anything. That was really fun to see that.
Yeah.
So
I've never done anything like that, and I was slightly nervous, and then I told you, I was like, well, what if the pilot passes out? What if there was a freak accident? I wasn't about to tell anybody that before, but it just crossed my mind, I gotta take this plane over if something happens.
Yeah.
But, great experience.
For sure,
overall.
yeah.
So,
amazing.
To wrap things up, I like to do something called One Thing on Your Mind. So whether it's a documentary, a podcast, a book, or an author you've been reading, what's something that's been on your mind lately? What have you been up to in your personal life?
Okay, yeah. So I wasn't a great reader growing up, but now I really enjoy reading, just getting into a book, and if you find those type of books that you can't put down and you're just enjoying it. And I don't know how many people have heard of John Grisham, but he's a top fiction writer, and the book I'm reading right now, they actually made into a movie. Matthew McConaughey starred into it. It's called A Time to Kill, and I just started it, and literally from the first page you just get locked in, and I'm so excited to not only read it but then watch the movie afterwards. So John Grisham, shout out to you, man. He's an incredible writer, and that's what's going on right now.
And I mentioned to you, I'm reading a book on C.T. Vivian, a Macomb, Illinois native who grew up just a couple of streets down from where I grew up, who was a civil rights activist and marched with Dr. King and John Lewis and people who really fought for this country for equal rights, and it's phenomenal. And for the hometown connection, for me, it's something that I really, really enjoy. So, Travis, thank you for coming on. I know this has been your first podcast. This was a blast.
I appreciate you having me on, man.
Until next time. So it's been Kicking It with Cal. Until next time.